Hey, this is Toby. Today we continue our volume profile in MQL5. I've linked the first part of the series up here. So yeah, let's go to the editor and we start coding. Okay, so first of all here we want to create two helper functions. The first one is the clamp lookback to history. We already have a comment for this function here. And the second one is to fetch the ticks, to basically get all the ticks from our symbol. So maybe we start with this clamp lookback history function here, and we write this after our getVisibleWindow function. This is of type integer. Of course, our class name here, double colon, and clamp lookback to history. Now we have two parameters of type integer, right index, and the other one, let's just call this the desired bars basically. So the point of this function is if there are not enough bars in the history, we want to reduce the lookback. So let's open up the body here. And first of all, we want to get the total number of bars of our symbol. So integer total equals bars current symbol here, and then the time frame period current. Okay, next we calculate the max index, so another variable of type integer, and we use our right index and we add the desired number of bars, -1. And now we just check if our max index is greater than total -1. In this case, we return total -1 and subtract our right index +1. We just make sure that we don't request more bars than are visible on a chart right now. And in the end, we return the desired number of bars. Okay, let's also add this function here in our class description. So I will copy the name and the parameters, and I will go up here in the private section here of type, is it void? I think it was, okay, of type integer. Yeah, of course. So integer and the name and the parameters, and add a semicolon like this. Now we should be able to compile without any mistakes, and we can use the function now instead of our comment from the last video. So right here in the calculate range from visible bars function, we have this comment. So I will delete this here, and we will set the lookback bars and call our function here with our right index. This is actually here m underscore, of course, m underscore right index. And the second parameter is the member lookback bars. Okay, let's compile again. Make sure you don't have any mistakes. And now we can write the second helper function to get the ticks of the symbol. This is of type Boolean. Again, our class name, and we call this fetch ticks. A few parameters here of type datetime start, datetime end, MQL tick, a array passed by reference called ticks of the MQL tick structure, and a integer passed by reference out count maybe. Okay, and here we just declare a ulong variable from in milliseconds. So this is a time. And we set that time by using the start parameter, and we multiply this by 1000. Because the start is a datetime variable, this is in seconds, and we multiply this by 1000 to get milliseconds. And now out count, and we use the built-in copy ticks function here, underscore symbol for the symbol name, ticks, ticks is the second parameter. Next parameter, we want to copy all ticks. And now the start time, we use our from milliseconds, and the count is our input, volume profile, max ticks. Like this. And now we just return if our out count here is greater than 0. Like this. Okay, so this just returns true or false if the function call was successful or not. So that's all we need in this function to get all the ticks in our ticked array here. So let's also write this in the class description. So I will copy the name and the parameters, and I will go up here, and maybe after the clamp lookback history of type Boolean, our new method here, fetch ticks. Add a semicolon at the end, hit compile, make sure you don't have any mistakes. And yeah, later we can use this fetch ticks function in our function where we calculate the volume profile. Okay, now I want to write the method to calculate the volume profile. This will be one of the more complex method for this class, but we will do this step by step. So maybe we write this method all the way down here at the end before our global variables section. So this will be of type Boolean, and then our class name, of course, double colon, and let's name this calc volume profile, and no parameters, so empty brackets. We open up the body, we return true in the end, and let's also write this directly into our class description here, Boolean, and the name with no parameters. So now we should be able to compile. And yeah, let's write the logic here. So first of all, we want to get the range of the visible window. We already have the function for this, so we just need a few parameters here, double high and double low, integer bar count, and a date time, time left and time right. And now we can call a function, calc range from visible. Maybe we do this inside the if statement with an exclamation mark here. And for the parameters, we now have the high, the low, the bar count, and the left, time left, and the time right. This, if this fails, yeah, we want to return false, of course, for this function. So we can, yeah, maybe write delete volume profile here, and also object delete. We want to also delete the look back line, m underscore so if this fails, we just want to return false here. Okay, next we want to calculate the range. So we just write range equals high minus low. And we also want to set the bar size. So double bar size equals range. And now we divide this by our input volume profile number of bars. Okay, now we know the size of each bar of the volume profile. And yeah, now we can get already the ticks of the symbol. So we declare a structure MQL tick and a array ticks, dynamic array. And now we set a start time. We want to use our time left here, and we add period seconds. So this is just the number of seconds, whatever chart period we are in currently, and also date time, end time. And here we just use the time right and also add the period seconds. Okay, and now we can call in a if statement our fetch ticks function. Here with the start time first parameter and the end time second parameter, our ticks array, and the count is our ticks count member variable. Okay, if this fails, we also return false here. And now we already have the ticks of our symbol. And now we can calculate the volume profile. Maybe we hit compile here. Okay, we have one mistake. Time right. This. Let's compile again. Okay, perfect. Okay, next we want to reset and fill our bins. So a bin is basically one rectangle here of our volume profile. So for this, let's maybe write a comment, reset and fill bins. And first of all, we want to reset the array. So array resize and our bars array with our input volume profile number of bars. And now we write a simple for loop here. E equals 0. As long as we are less our input volume profile number of bars, we increase our counter here, and here we just set m bars e ticks to 0, m bars e, and now the low to 0, and also the high. Okay, so ticks low and high. This is here the structure of our volume profile. Okay, let's hit compile. Make sure you don't have any mistakes. And now we can write another for loop. First of all, before we do that, we want to declare two integers. So tick size, we want to get the size of our array. So array size ticks here, and also maybe an integer called used ticks, initialize with 0. Okay, now we can write a for loop, or I will just copy this for loop because it's the same. Instead of the input volume number of bars, we use our tick size variable here. Okay, and here in the for loop, first of all, we want to calculate the bin index. So we need to know, of course, if a price is up here, that it belongs to this rectangle, and we need to add it to this bin. And if the price is down here, we need to add it to the bin down here. So that's what we want to do first. So we declare an integer and call this bar number. And now we calculate this using the built-in math floor function and a double value. And this is now our ticks array dot bid price, and we subtract the low, and we divide this by the bar size like this. Now we also want to increase the counter of each bar. So for this, we write m underscore bars. Our array here, we use, for the index, we use bar number, and dot ticks, we add 1. We also want to calculate the low and the high of the bar. So bar low equals our low, and now we add here double bar number plus the bar size. And for the high, bar number dot high, we use now the low again, and we just increase basically the bar number by 1 before we multiply it. Of course, we need to multiply this with the bar size. And here for the high, we just increase by 1. So for example, if the calculated bar number index is 0, then we increase this bin, which would be here the first rectangle down here, by 1. And we also calculate the low, which is the lowest price, plus the bar number multiplied by the bar size. And the same for the high basically, but we increase the bar number by 1. Okay, and yeah, I think that's it for this for loop here. Now what we need to do is just to call some functions to draw the volume profile. Maybe I will just add a comment here, draw volume profile, and here we call a function called draw volume profile. We still need to code this function with no parameters, and we also call the draw lookback. Okay, I just see that we renamed this here. This should be, of course, called draw lookback line and a parameter t left here, and we also call chart redraw. But for now, let's comment these out. We should be able to compile like this without any mistakes. And the next step is basically to code this draw volume profile function to actually draw the volume profile on the chart and see if everything works. Okay, so let's do this. Let's code this draw volume profile method just here after our calculate volume profile method. This is of type void. And of course, we also need our class name here, double colon, volume profile. And here we will have no parameters, just empty brackets like this. First of all, we want to normalize to avoid overflowing of the chart area by max ticks. So yeah, maybe we'll write a comment here. Normalize widths by just bin to avoid overflowing the chart area. So we just get the size of our m bars array. So array size m underscore bars, and we declare a max tick integer initialized by 0, and now we write a simple for loop, integer I equals 0, I less than the size of the array, and we increase our counter in the end. And in here we basically now write m underscore bars, so we get the count of the bar. If this is greater than max ticks, we want to save this to max ticks. So m underscore bars dot ticks, and of course here a if statement. So if the ticks count in our bars array is greater than max ticks, we save that number to max ticks. That's all we do here in this array, in this for loop. And yeah, next we want to get the chart width. So because we need to know how wide we are allowed to draw the volume profile here. If we say 50% of the chart, we need to draw the biggest rectangle right here up until the middle from the right side. So that's what we want to calculate now. Maybe we write another comment here, determine how wide we are allowed to draw. And here we declare a long variable called chart width. We initialize this with 0. And now we use the chart get integer built-in function, null for the current chart, property ID, chart width in pixels, and 0 for the sub window, so the main chart window, and the long variable. Here's our chart width variable. Okay, next we want to check first of all if the chart width is below 0. In this case we just set a default value of, let's say, 800. So chart width equals 800. This. And next we declare another variable called integer max pixels here, and we calculate this now with our chart width, and we multiply this by our input max. Okay, we need another input for this. We cannot use. Okay, so let's write this, and then we declare some inputs. So this will be called maybe max width in percent of the chart. So as I said, if I enter 50, the volume profile should stop at 50% of the chart. And we multiply this by 0.01 because this will be a integer input, and we need the percentage. Okay. And maybe we add some brackets here to make sure this is a integer. Now we get the max pixels. Okay, now before we are able to compile, I want to go up to the input section and we add a few more inputs. So let's do this. Up here for the volume profile section, we already have the 3 inputs. Now we want to add another input for this percentage of the chart. So this is of type integer, and let's call this, we called that input, I think it was max volume profile, max width in percent. I hope this is correct. And we set this to a default value of maybe 35. Also add a comment here. So max width. Maybe S percent of chart width. Like this. Another input later for the color. So input type color, called input volume profile color. By default we set this maybe to white. Also add a comment here, profile color. Now I want to move this a little bit to the right. And 2 more inputs of type Boolean called input volume profile back. So we can set if we want to draw the volume profile behind the bars in the background or not. And by default this is maybe true. A comment here, draw profile behind candles. And the last input here of type Boolean, we name this input volume profile fill. So with this input we are able to set if we want to fill out the volume profile or not. We also set this to true. Add a comment here, fill profile. Okay, I think that's it for the inputs. Let's hit compile. Okay, I have a few mistakes. Variable already defined here. Okay, we have the color, of course, already here. This, first of all, I want to change this to line. Yeah, we need to rename this here to line. Input line color. So this is the color for the line. We still need that. It's red. And the color for the volume profile. I also want to use uppercase here. Okay. Let's compile. Member function not defined. Yeah, this is our volume profile. We can declare this now. I'll write this here. This is of type void draw volume profile. Let's hit compile again. One mistake. The color here. Yeah, we need to rename this to line. And also here, line style. This is because we replaced that earlier. So line, line, line. Here also line. Now probably we need to change the inputs to line, line, line. line back. Yeah, this is not important. We can also replace this here. With basically line name. But here undeclared identifier, input line back. Okay, I don't think we have the input to draw the line into the background. Oh no, we have it here. Okay, there's a P missing here. Also, we can change the comments. So, line color, line width, line style, draw in background. Okay, still one mistake. Line name. Why did we not replace that? Line name. Okay. Yeah, now I'm able to compile. Yeah, if you have some mistakes, try to fix them step by step and always start at the top. I will also upload the code to my website. If you have a problem, you can also write a comment. I can help you. Okay, now back to our function. Here, draw volume profile. We now have the input here and we can continue to code. Okay, now here, the next step is to get or convert the right edge of the chart basically into a coordinate. So for this, I will write a comment here. Convert the right edge pixel coordinate into a chart time. So for this, we declare a datetime here, time underscore right, and a double p underscore dummy. We just need that for this call here, and a integer sub window. Now we can call the function if exclamation mark chart xy to time price. And here we have a few parameters. So the chart ID is the current chart, so null. X is now our integer here, chart width. Y can just type 10 here. Sub window is our sub window variable. Time is our time underscore right. And our p dummy, because we don't really need the price. So p underscore dummy. This, and if this fails, we can set the t underscore right by just typing here right time or just the current time maybe. Yeah, just time current. This is just in case this conversion here fails. Okay, then we have the time right. And next we can actually draw the rectangles. So I will write a comment here, draw one rectangle per bin. And for this we write a for loop, integer I 0, I less than size. We increase our counter. This is the body. Let's also hit compile here. Make sure that you don't have any mistakes. Now we calculate the width of the rectangle in pixels. So for this, we declare integer bar pixels here, and we calculate this with the math round function, and in here of type double, our m underscore bars array ticks, so the number of ticks in this bin or bar, divided here by our max ticks variable and multiplied by the max pixels. So max pixels here. We also want to get the left edge for the rectangle. So for this, date time underscore left. And here again, we call this function, a exclamation mark here, and for the parameters, 0 for the chart ID. Integer is still our chart width, but this time, of course, we need to subtract our bar pixels variable. 10 for the Y. Coordinate sub window is our sub window T underscore left, and our dummy for the price like this. And if it fails, we just set the T, the time left, to the time right, like this. Okay, let's hit compile. Make sure you don't have any mistakes. Okay, perfect. And now we can create the actual rectangles here. So let's write a comment, create rectangles, or actually one rectangle because it's a for loop. So string, first of all, the name. Yeah, let's just call this volume profile bar, or maybe just volume profile bar underscore, and we add basically the index maybe. So we make sure we have a different name for each rectangle, index I. Okay, now first of all, object delete null and our name. We want to make sure we delete the object if it's already on a chart. And now object create, and here chart ID null, string name is our name, type is now object rectangle. Now for the sub window 0, for the time and price variables. So first of all, the time right here. Next parameter is m underscore bars, our index dot low. Next is the second time parameter, which is time left. And then again, the second price parameter, m underscore bars and high. Okay, this should be it for the rectangle. Now we want to add some properties for the rectangle. So object set integer null name, and the property object property, first of all, the color is our input volume profile color. And I will just paste this 2 more times here. Change the property, so object property fill, and this is now our input volume profile fill input, true or false. And the other property, object property, if you want to draw the rectangle in the background or not. So back, input volume profile back. Okay, yeah, I think that's it for this body of the for loop. We get the bar pixels. We set the left side, and then we draw the rectangle. Okay, I think that's also it for the function. We don't need to return, it's a void function. So let's first of all compile, make sure that we don't have any mistakes. Okay, and now one of the last steps we need to do is to update the on chart event function of our EA here. So we already have the function here on chart event. We get the ID and the string parameter. We check if the object was deleted. We draw the look back line. Yeah, maybe we delete this here. And first of all, we check if the chart has changed. So we write a if statement here, if ID equals chart underscore chart event changed, like this. If that's the case, we want to calculate the volume profile. So we can call our calculate volume profile function. Okay, next we want to check or write a else if the ID is equal to chart event underscore object object change, or no, object drag. So if the user basically dragged the look back line, and the s parameter here, our m underscore, I think it's line name. Here in this case, yeah, we want to update the volume profile, of course. So we also write a variable of type datetime, and we get with object get integer 0 for the current chart, line name, object property. We basically get the time of the look back line. So object property underscore time and 0 for the modifier, like this. Now we have the time of the line, and we check if this is greater than 0. In this case, we want to update the object, the red vertical line. So integer, we declare a few variables here for left and right, and a date time, left time, and right time. So left index, right index, left time, right time, because we need this to call our get visible window function. Left index, right index, left time, right time, like this. And okay. And here in the body, we declare another integer called dragged index. And here we use the iBar shift function to get from the time to the index of the bar. So underscore symbol, period current, time, true, like this. And if the dragged index is greater than or equal to 0, in this case, we update the vertical line. So int new look back is the dragged index minus the right index plus 1. And yeah, maybe we check if the new look back is less than 1. We just want to set it to 1. Like this. And our m underscore look back, our member, we want to also make sure that we have enough bars in the history. So we call our function clamp look back to history, write index and new look back variable. Like this. Okay, we don't need a bracket here. Like this. And now we can just call our calc volume profile function. We write another else body here. So actually else if we want to check if the ID is equal to chart event object delete. And again, our S parameter here is equal to our m underscore line name. In this case, we also want to calculate the volume profile. Okay, that's it, I think, for the onChart event function here. So we basically check chart change, chart drag, and object delete. Okay, let's hit compile here. Let's see if we have a mistake. Okay, perfect. And now I will go through the code one last time because we need to add a few little things before we can check it on the chart. Okay, let's start here at the top. Yeah, we have our properties, we have our inputs. They look fine. Of course, you can add more input if you want, some more settings or something. We have our structure, our class. Actually, let's see if we need the tick count here. So I will just search for this tick count variable here. I mean, we don't really use it, but for now this is fine. I will just keep it. But I don't think we need the variables here for write index and write time. So let's delete this and let's see if I can still compile. One mistake here. So this is here, write index. And here instead of the member, we can also just use the write index. I think this should work. Let's compile again. Yeah, we will see later when we put the volume profile on the chart. We have our methods here, public, private. Yes, and here we need to uncomment this and call the calculate volume profile method like this. This is in the onInit. Yeah, and here in the onInit, we also want to, you can of course also check the input, for example, but I also want to set here instead of this draw look back, I want to set the member look back bars here from our input volume profile look back bars, and then we calculate the volume profile. On deinit, Yeah, we delete all objects. I also want to delete not only the line here, but all the rectangles too. So I will add here objects, delete all, and null, and our name was, I think, volume profile. Let's see. In our draw volume profile function, we have the name here, the prefix. So we delete all the rectangles when we remove the EA. Okay, we don't want to do this actually if we just change the time frame of the chart. So if now you can write unit reason if this is equal to reason, I think it's chart change. In this case, we just want to return. Else we delete the object. On tick function here, yeah, we also want to calculate the visible window here in the on tick function. So first of all, let's delete this. And here we can now declare a static datetime last write time equals 0, and an integer left index, right index, and date time, left time, right time. Here and now would a if statement get visible window and use the parameters left index, left time, right time. Here and in the body, write another if statement here. If the right time is not equal to last right time, in this case, we want to set the last right time to our right time. And we calculate the volume profile. Here and else we can now delete this. We just return true. So that's our new onTick function here. Let's hit compile. Okay, void function returns a value. Yeah, we don't need to return true. We can just leave it like this. Compile again. And then we have on chart event function. Okay, that's it. Draw look back. Here we want to rename this to draw look back line, like this. Get visible window. Yeah, we can delete the print statement here. Clamp look back to history. Fetch ticks, that's fine. Calculate from visible, that's also fine. And yeah, we don't need the delete. I don't think we call this anywhere. No, we can delete the delete method and the refresh method. Okay, then we have this function here. First of all, I want to also delete them up here in the class description before we continue. So these two functions, delete and refresh, just delete them, hit compile. And now here there was another comment in the calculate volume profile. We now draw the volume profile with this function and draw look back line. Chart redraw. Okay, compile again. That's very important that you uncomment these two lines here. And we have the draw volume profile function. Yeah. We have our instance of the class, our event handling functions, and we call all the methods of our class. Okay, now let's switch to the MetaTrader 5 platform and let's actually see if this works. So I remove this, and this is now here our volume profile in the YouTube folder. Put this on a chart, press OK, and there's a mistake. Okay, so I did some debugging and there are 5 things I want to update to make the volume profile work like intended. So first of all, here I delete the VP max ticks input. We don't need that anymore. Just like this. Next one here in the fetch ticks function, I change the copy ticks function to copy ticks range. And for this, we need a end date. So we declare here another variable of type ulong, 2 milliseconds. And we use the end parameter here multiplied by 1000. And then we use it here as the last parameter here in our copy ticks range function. So that's the update for the fetch tick function. Next one here in the calculate range from visible window, I want to update the out left time here with this line. So this is new. Out left, I time, because here we need the right, we take the right index, but we also use the count that is updated here. So that's it for this method here. The next update is here in the calc volume profile method, basically this section here. I just want to make sure that we are not running out of range for the array. So that's why I added here these 3 checks. Yeah, and I think that's it for the updates. Now if I compile, the volume profile should calculate correctly. We can go here to the meta editor, to the platform, and let's actually run this on the chart. These are the default values. We can see the volume profile, we can change the look back line, we can scroll through history. Let's also play around with some inputs. So for example, change the color of the volume profile, change maybe here this fill input, change the color of the look back line. Let's change the percentage here to draw the volume profile, and also maybe look back is 100 bars and the resolution basically 200. Okay. Yeah, this also looks fine. Pretty nice volume profile here. Of course, now you could also update this. Maybe I will do another video in the future where you can add some lines here for the highest volume inside this range and the lowest volume. Yeah, but the code for this will be available here. This end result will be available on my website if you don't want to spend the time coding this here on YouTube. If you have a question, just write a comment. And yeah, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in one of the next videos. Bye bye.